The mutiny started politely enough. This was a courier ship, not some rowdy bandit cruiser, and the dozen or so people on board approached the situation with all the calm, level-headedness of business folks at a board meeting. The captain was new. He was bad at this. He'd only gotten the job because his cousin had recommended him, and she was probably regretting that. "We will discuss the matter with Captain Cam when we land," said Piercing Sunlight, the lizard-like heat-seeker with bright yellow scales. She was taking point in the conversation. "Cam doesn't have to hear about this," objected Captain Pockap, his green tentacles lashing in agitation. "All of you need to go back to your stations and reconsider how you talk to your captain." He looked like an octopus with freckles, and he sounded like a petulant child. "Did you not hear the statement?" G asked, with an irritated click of his pincher arms. His patience never seemed lengthy, but now it was getting shorter by the minute. "You are no longer our captain. We have decreed it." His exoskeleton shone with purple glory, and he radiated annoyance. The rest of the crew spoke up, agreeing in one way or another. Teeth were bared, and body parts I didn't have made increasingly urgent threat displays. I, the only human and the newest arrival to the team, stayed well in the back. This really wasn't my business. I didn't have much of a say. And I didn't like the direction it was going. When Pockap, the ex-captain, started yelling, I gave up on playing silent witness and ducked into the next room. I'd seen him pull a tiny stun gun out of nowhere before, hidden among his tentacles, and I didn't like the odds of him opening fire on the crew. Just as I thought that, he yelled, "Who emptied the charge in this?" Then came the loud slap of a tentacle against someone's face, followed by insulted gasps and an open brawl. I edged farther from the door, looking around and realizing I'd trapped myself in the storage room where the extra stun guns were kept. Great choice, stellar. And there was only one door. Time to be a hide-and-seek champion, I thought as the sounds of alien violence grew closer. Somebody else gets to wrestle the octopus with the gun. My hiding options weren't great. Under a table, behind a crate, maybe inside a cabinet, and the ventilation shaft was too small. The table and crate were terrible coverage. The cabinet with the stun guns was close to the door, but the one against the far wall looked big enough. I dashed over and flung it open. Yep, that'll do. Only the bottom shelves were full. The top three held just a couple stray tools, and I knew from time spent cleaning that the shelves were removable. I yanked out the top ones, stashed them below, then climbed in to curl up in a space that was roomier than my childhood closet. I crouched among wrenches and whatever, watching through the air slits as I pulled the door shut, making sure to keep it from latching. Locking myself in was another problem I didn't need. Speaking of problems, I thought as Pockap spun into the room, his green tentacles thrashing against Mur's dark blue ones in a cartoonish tumble. I'd never seen two strong arms fight before. It was kind of funny. They were slapping at each other's faces and going for eye gouges, which meant neither could see where they were going. They knocked over the table and spread tools all over the floor before anyone else caught up. When the twin Frillians waded in to break it up, followed by other beefy crew members, an unfortunate development happened. Pockap found a stun gun. "Back off!" he shouted, blasting the nearest Frillian in the face and wriggling free of Mur's grasp. Mur ducked behind a box while the other Frillian caught her frozen brother before he could hurt himself against the floor. Pockap froze her too, then brandished the gun at everyone else, yelling about how much the stun would hurt when it wore off, and how they had better respect him or else. I held very still inside my cabinet. What can I do? I thought. Too bad I can't call the other ship from here. Nobody's told Cam yet. I shifted in place to keep my feet from falling asleep, and nudged the random tools I hadn't cleared out. I froze at the scraping noise. No one heard. They were all busy shouting at each other. What even is this one? Oh, hey! I rested my hand on the distinct shape of another stun gun. Whoever put things away last time did a terrible job, and I thanked them for it. I held it up in the dim light, half power, good enough for self-defense, or... "One step closer and you're spending the rest of the trip as a statue," Pockap was yelling, "only thawing out to hurt before getting frozen again." I opened the door just enough to snake my arm through, aimed and zapped him in the back of the head. Pockap froze mid-rant and slowly toppled forward. Stunned silence filled the room until somebody saw my hand. "Ha!" Sunlight laughed. "Is there a human in there? How did you fit? Great shot!" I opened the door the rest of the way to loud approval, with half the crew exclaiming over the way their tall new crewmate folded up so well, and the rest dealing with Pockap's mess. "No amicable splitting of ways for this one," Mur declared, cradling a sprained tentacle. "I won't be writing him a reference." "No, I don't think any of us will," Sunlight said. She gazed at him thoughtfully as I climbed down. "Let's call Cam. No point in waiting till we land. She'll want to know." "I'll put the stun guns away," I volunteered. "This cabinet is full of things in the wrong place." "Thank you," Sunlight told me. "How did you fit in there? You have bones. Have you practiced hiding in tight spaces before?" "No more than the next person," I said, though I was really good at hide-and-seek as a kid. The lizardy alien blinked at me. "Hide and what?" "It's where everybody hides and one person has to find them," I explained. "Then the last person found has to take a turn as the seeker." G tipped the table back upright with his pincher arms. "Half of that sounds like a standard Predator game, but I can't imagine taking turns being prey too. How embarrassing." I shrugged. "If you say so. It was pretty useful today." "Yes," Sunlight said with a smile. "You're only prey until you decide otherwise. That's the spirit." "Well, we're grateful for your childhood practice today. Let's get this unworthy individual locked up, then talk strategy. I have some ideas of how we can improve on Pockap's business plan that I think everyone will be on board with." I had no doubt. Captain Piercing Sunlight would be a much better leader than her predecessor. She started off by giving me a bonus for putting my skills to good use, so clearly she was very wise.